Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. Next case is cause number 321-312. Case is filed the state of Texas versus Charles Marks. Mr. Marks is appearing via Zoom. Mr. Marks, how are you doing? Mr. Marks, how are you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Marks, how are you doing?
I'm okay.
All right, Mr. Marks, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Tom Burbank. Mr. Burbank, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Judge.
Okay, now, Mr. Burbank, I see here that Mr. Marks' case was reset. What was it, a JP reduction? Is that correct?
There was.
Oh, there was. Okay.
I don't think he has fulfilled, if the court would like to inquire, I don't think he has fulfilled that obligation.
Okay, Mr. Marks, the agreement was that you're supposed to pay a JP reduction. Has that been done?
I have no knowledge of that. Like he never informed me of that. And he informed me that he would go back to the court and ask y'all if that's still available, but they never told me that I needed to do that.
Okay, so Mr. Burbank, what is your announcement?
If he would like to take to JP now, Judge, if you can inquire, then I would ask for a reset that he would.
I mean, you
pay
can ask
for-
him if he wants to, that's your client.
Well, I'll represent to the court. I have, and told me to fly a kite.
Okay, state.
So.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, state, what do you want to do? You want to keep the offer on the table? You want to move on?
Your Honor, the state will revoke that offer at this point in time. Proceed.
Okay, so, Mr. Burbank, you want a trial, plea?
We'll have to have a trial. Judge.
Okay, you can reset it for trial? Okay, all right, no problem. Mr.
State-
Mark,
The state might have been a little bit too fast because I think they have a problem.
okay, Mr. Marks, just hold on a minute. Mr. Marks, please put your mic on mute. Thank you. We need a trial date for Charles Marks, who's the first person on page 1. You say May 16th? Okay, Mr. Marks, your case is going to be reset for trial on May 16th of 2022. Your attorney and your bondsman will be given copies of your reset. Stay in contact with your attorney and your bondsman. You're free to go and you have a blessed day.
All right.
And Mr. Burbank, you can sign and get your reset.
Yes, Your Honor. I think I have a plea ready to.
Okay. The court is in session in three cases. First case is cause number 322358. Second case is cause number 325966. And the third case is cause number 331522. All three cases are styled the state of Texas versus Alfonso Vasquez. Mr. Vasquez, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, you know.
That's good. Mr. Vasquez, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Tom Burbank. Mr. Burbank, what's your announcement in Mr. Vasquez cases?
We'd ask you to place on the trial.
Okay, give us a trial date. What is?
May 16th.
Right, could we have another date, because I would like my full attention to Mr. Marks, who's that
Okay,
he thinks I may not be doing my job. I want to be completely prepared.
Well, would you check your calendar, Mr. Burbank, to find out if 523 would be feasible?
Whatever is the next date for this course, it's always feasible.
523.
523.
Excuse me. Can we make it around the third or something?
I'm sorry?
On the third of the month? Like, cause I go see my heart doctor every month on the third.
Say that again? You want it on the third because you go see your heart doctor on the third?
Like on the third, on the month. Like, when you said it for a month, can you make it like around the first or the third?
Are you wanting it around?
I
Yeah,
mean, you said something about going and seeing a heart doctor.
yeah, I go that day.
Well, this is a trial date. You can't go to trial and the doctor at the same time.
No, after, I'll be after. Everything goes good.
Mr. Burbank, those are Thursdays, you know, so, well, we got, I don't know what they are, but if he wants to do a bench trial. we gotta do that. Maybe
You got three cases.
Just, you know,
Okay,
Or I'll have a trial date of June 6th.
June 6th, Mr. Burbank? Is
Oh,
that fine?
absolutely, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, this case is gonna be reset to June 6th. Now, Mr. Porter, did you confirm that? Okay, now, Mr. Vasquez, apparently there's a warrant out for you. And so you're gonna be taken into custody. Just please follow the bailiff. Or the bailiff can inform you as to what the warrant is for. Here's the paperwork.
Let me, okay, after you're done, before he leaves, I'll give him a copy. Or you just want you want him to have a copy?
I'm totally lost.
I'll give it to you. Will you come sign for your trial setting, Mr. Burbank?
Do we have anybody ready? Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is now in session. We have 3 cases. First case is cause number 330-963. Second case is cause number 330-965. And the third case is cause number 330-967. All 3 cases are styled the state of Texas versus Kirsten Tapman. Ms. Tapman, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Tapman, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Ms. Tapman?
I'm well.
You well? That's good. Ms. Tapman, you're here represented by your attorney Tom Burbank. In cause number 330-965, Ms. Tapman, I have before me a document that has been filed by the district attorney's office. The document is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about August 2nd of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the class A misdemeanor offense of evading arrest detention. Ms. Tapman, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Ms. Tapman, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest, sir.
And are you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It's also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Ms. Tapman, there are 2 sets of initials on a line next to the box that says check no contender. The first set of initials is the initials of your attorney, and the second set of initials is KT. Are these your initials?
Yes.
On the third page of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled Defendant. Ms. Tapman, is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled Trial Court Certification of the Defendant's Right of Appeal, Ms. Tapman, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Ms. Tapman, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature above the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibits Number 1 and State's Exhibit Number 2, the probable cause affidavit. State, you like to offer States 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objections, states 1 and 2.
No objections. States Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Burbank, you advised and counseled Ms. Tapman. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Tapman, your attorney, Mr. Burbank, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your pleas and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement is for 1-year deferred probation to run concurrently with 1-year deferred probation in case number 330-967. And additionally, the state will submit a dismissal on case number 330-963.
So.
Now, there's no fine
Not in this case, Your Honor.
and there's no community service.
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Tapman, the state is offering that you serve 1-year deferred adjudicated probation. During the probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine. However, you will be required to pay court costs of $307. You will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, a year analysis fee of $15 each month. And you will reimburse the court-appointed attorney's fees of $250. Now, the total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you will be required to pay each month while you're on probation, is $130. Ms. Tapman, will you be able to pay the $130?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Tapman, you will not be required to perform any community service. This case will run concurrent with cause number 330967. State will dismiss cause number 330963. And you will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Ms. Tapman, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Tapman, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Ms. Tapman, your next case is cause number 330967. And I have before me in this case, Ms. Tapman, an information that was filed by the district attorney's office. And this information alleges that on or about August 2nd of 2021, while you were in Johnson County, Texas, that you committed to class A misdemeanor offense of resisting arrest, search, transportation. Ms. Tapman, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Ms. Tapman, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment, also labeled as State's Exhibit 1. You recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Ms. Tapman, there are 2 sets of initials. First set of initials is your initials of your attorney. Second set of initials is KT. Ms. Tapman, and it's on the line next to the box is check no continuing, which means no contest. Are these your initials, KT?
Yes, sir.
On third page of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, which is titled trial court certification of the defendant's right of appeal, Ms. Tapman, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
There are 2 boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And the second box states that you're waiving your right to appeal, which means you're giving up your right to appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature above the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Tapman, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Burbank, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State, I have before me State's Exhibits 1 and 2, misdemeanor plea admonishment and the probable cause affidavit. State, you like to offer States 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No objections to states 1 and 2, Your Honor.
No objection. States Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Burbank, you advise and counsel Ms. Tapman. In this case as well, is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Tapman, your attorney, Mr. Burbank, has advised and counseled you. In this case, are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your pleas and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement is for 1 year deferred probation, a $500 fine. And this, the Probation in this case is to run concurrently with that in case number 330965. And the state will dismiss case number 330963.
Okay, Ms. Chapman, the state is offering that you serve 1 year deferred adjudicated probation. During the 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay a fine of $500 plus court costs of $307, which comes to a total of fine and court costs of $807. You'll also be required to pay a probation fee of $15 each month. No, strike that. Your probation fee is $0. You will not be required to pay a probation fee because you'll be on probation for the other case. However, you will be required to pay a urinalysis fee of $15 each month and court-appointed attorney's fees of $50 shall be paid as well. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you would have to pay each month while you're on probation for this case, is $95 a month. Ms. Tapman, will you be able to pay the $95 each month?
Yes, sir.
Now, Ms. Tapman, you will not be required to pay any, perform any community service. This case will run concurrent with cause number 330965, and the state will dismiss clause number 330963. You will also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and conditions of your probation. Now, Ms. Tapman, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tapman, I'll defer finding of guilt, place you on probation, and the probation will be the terms as recited in the state's offer and the court's judgment. And Ms. Tapman, if you successfully complete your probationary period, your case will be dismissed. It will not result in a conviction on your record, and you may qualify for a non-disclosure. And you can talk to your attorney about the non-disclosure because he's quite competent in those matters. Ms. Tapman, please stand on the X in front of next to your attorney, in front of our court clerk. You're gonna follow the clerk's directions. Once you finish following the clerk's directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day. You're welcome. Thank you.
I'd be excused, Your Honor.
Hold on a minute.
All right, can I go ahead and get your right thumbprint on that blue light that's located in front of you? Okay, you can remove your thumb.
Yeah, this dismissal that I'm
Can I go ahead and
signing.
get your signature on that signature pad located in front of you? You won't be able to see it, but I will. Okay, and Mr. Burbank, can I get your signature, please? Thanks. All right, now Ms. Tyson, please come forward again. Can I have you raise your right hand? Do you swear that you've never before been given deferred adjudication or regular probation for a felony or misdemeanor in this or any other state?
Tony,
And you have no other criminal charges?
Melanie call you.
Just 1 second, put your hand down. And I'll report to this address that I'm highlighting on the front page of your paperwork. So when you leave here, you're gonna go over all the terms and conditions with
Best
you.
friends.
And, I'm-
Mr. Burbank, I think that was your last case?
I hope so.
Okay, you're free to go.
I'd be excused.
Yes, you have a
Thank
blessed day.
You
You're
too,
welcome.
sir.
You're just gonna take the address.
Who we out there? Is Alan? I got Alan.
Here is.
Okay, Let me go ahead and do.
Blanks for now.
Okay, let me go ahead and do Allen.
Oh, you're good to go. Thank you.
Christopher Allen. The court is in session and calls number 328032. The case is style of State of Texas versus Christopher Ray Allen. Mr. Allen, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Allen, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Allen, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Allen?
Very how about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Allen, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Glenn Crocker. Attorney Crocker, how are you doing?
Very well, Judge. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Allen, I have before me a document that has been filed. Well, there's a document that's titled "The Information that has been filed by the District Attorney's Office." This information alleges that on or about June 17 of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, operating a motor vehicle in a public place, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of driving while intoxicated with an alcohol concentration level of 0.15 or more. Mr. Allen, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Allen, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty.
Now, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily?
Yes, sir.
And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Allen, I have another document before me. This document, Mr. Allen, is titled the Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. Mr. Allen, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And on page 1 of this document, there are initials on each one of the paragraphs. The first initial is on the line that says it's a Class A misdemeanor. Your second set of initials is on a line that's titled DWI, DWLS, and drug offenses. Next set of initials is on line saying firearm ownership, and you have initials on the line that's in their paragraph that's titled plea bargain. And the next two initials are on a line that's titled permission to appeal and then citizenship. Now, Mr. Allen, are these your initials on page 1 of this document? And on the next page of this document, there are a set of initials on the line under the paragraph that's titled Notice of Judicial Clemency for Defendants Placed on Community Supervision. And it's another set of initials is on the line that's titled Waiver. And I think that Mr. Allen, you also have a set of initials on the line that is titled that's next to the box that's titled guilty.
Yes, sir.
Did you place your initials on this document on these first two pages?
Yes, sir.
And also your attorney initials are on the document as well, is that correct? And on page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that's titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, Mr. Allen, this document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. There's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
There are two boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargaining case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that? You have to speak up, she's taking a record.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Allen, I also have another document here. This document is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? Now, Mr. Allen, prior to signing and initialing these documents that I've just mentioned to you, did your attorney, Mr. Crocker, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer States 1?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we have no objection. States one.
No objection, States 1. Now, Mr. Allen, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 1 will be admitted. Mr. Crocker, you've advised and counseled Mr. Allen. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None at all.
Mr. Allen, your attorney, Mr. Crocker, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Most definitely. Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Allen, I'll find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I'll accept your plea of guilty. We also find that your pleas and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. We'll also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement is for 180 days in jail, probated over a term of 18 months.
18 months.
A $6,000 fine is required by Texas Transportation Code Section
Okay, but
709.
the initial fine is 0?
0.
Okay,
Initial fine of 0. An additional fine is required by Section 709 of the Texas Transportation Code in the amount of $6,000.
okay,
80 hours of community service,
okay.
DWI classes, drug and alcohol assessments, and an interlock funds.
Okay. Now, Mr. Allen, the state is offering that you serve 180 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not have to serve any time in the Jefferson County Jail because you'll be placed on probation for 18 months. During the 18-month probationary period, you will not be required to pay a fine. However, you will be required to pay court costs of $422. You will also be required to, this is not gonna come out right, 'cause I don't, yeah, you will also be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month, or your analysis fee of $15 each month. You'll be required to pay the DWI education class an initial evaluation fee of $125 on the day of the plea, and should a further evaluation be needed, you'll be required to pay an additional $50. You'll be required to pay an additional fine of $6,000 pursuant to the Texas Transportation Code Section 709.001B3. Now, this case will run concurrent with cause number 20-35500. Well, let me do this here before we get to that. Now, Mr. Allen, the total amount, when we add up the court costs, the additional fee of $6,000, the probation fee of $60 each month, the urinalysis fee of $15 each month. And when we add up the amount that you would have to pay today, which is the Jefferson County DWI education class and the initial evaluation fee of $125. Now, your total monthly installments, that is the total amount that you would have to pay per month, is $455. Will you be able to pay the $455 each month?
Yes, sir.
You will?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You will also be required to perform 80 hours of community service. And this case will run, now let me back up. Now, that monthly installment, is he currently on probation for another case?
As of this morning, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so that $450 is probably gonna be reduced by $60 because you won't be paying 2 probation fees, you're gonna be paying 1. So you'll be paying in somewhere in the neighborhood of, instead of $455, it'll be $395. Do you understand that per month?
Is that on top of Jesus Moglen? He's not
On,
on top of the 500 fine, Crime Stoppers fine, and the year, like, other than that, plus that?
Yes.
oh, that's on a, that's his, yeah.
Yeah, that's felony.
Oh, that's your felony case, all right. Now, you also, as I said, you also be required to perform 80 hours of community service, attend DWI education class, and have an alcohol and drug assessment. You don't have that on here. You don't have the interlock. And you also be required to install an interlock device on any vehicle that you own or operate, as well as adhere to the other standard terms and condition of your probation. And Mr. Allen, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? And do you accept the state's offer?
Sir.
Okay, Mr. Allen, I'll follow people are in agreement that you've entered into with the state. Mr. Allen, she's probably gonna have to redo your paperwork. Just have a seat in the gallery, and then once our clerk is ready for you to come back up, you're gonna come back up, okay? Oh, you have to put the interlock device? Yeah, it wasn't on there. And let's see, hold on a minute. Court is in session and cause number 328832. Case is style of state of Texas versus Warren Kenneth Johnson. We have Mr. Warren Kenneth Johnson, who is standing before the court. Mr. Johnson, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Johnson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, you may put your hand down. How you doing, Mr. Johnson?
All right, yes, sir.
I'm doing fine, thanks. So, Mr. Johnson, you're here represented by your attorney, Attorney Langston Adams. Attorney Adams, how you doing?
Doing well, can't complain.
That's good. Now, Mr. Johnson, I have before me a document that has been filed by the District Attorney's Office. Is titled Information. This information alleges that on or about November 17 of 2021, November 17 of 2020, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class B misdemeanor offense of criminal trespassing. Mr. Johnson, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Johnson, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
Now, you pleaded no contest freely and voluntarily,
Yes, sir.
and are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, I also have before me a document that is titled the misdemeanor plea admonishments. Mr. Johnson, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
This document is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. On page 2 of this document, there are a set of initials on a line that's checked, that's next to a box that is checked no contender, which means no contest. Are these your initials on this document?
Yes, sir.
On the next document, or excuse me, on the same document, but the next page, there's a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is that your signature?
Yes, sir.
The next document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Mr. Johnson, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that is titled defendant?
Yes, yes,
There
sir.
are two boxes that are checked at the top of this document. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes, sir. This is
Now, Mr. Johnson, prior to signing and initialing these documents, did your attorney, Mr. Adams, go over these documents with you?
yes, sir. He did.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes, sir. I did.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, I have before me State's Exhibit Number 1, the misdemeanor plea admonishment, and State's Exhibit Number 2, the probable cause affidavit. You like to offer States 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objections?
No.
No objection, States Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Adams, you advised and counsel Mr. Johnson, is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No.
Mr. Johnson, your attorney, Mr. Adams, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir. Very well.
Mr. Johnson, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Mr. Johnson, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
What is that agreement?
Your Honor, the agreement is for 4 days, time served with court costs to be taxed and retired.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, the state is offering that you serve 4 days in the Jefferson County Jail, but you would not have to serve any more time in the Jefferson County Jail because you've already served 4 days, therefore you'll be given credit for time served. The court cost in this case is $352, but you will not have to pay the $352 because the time that you spent in jail has already paid it off, therefore the court cost will be taxed and retired. Mr. Johnson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir. I do.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Johnson, you're gonna stand on the X next to your attorney, follow the recommendations, or follow the instructions from our court clerk. Once you finish following her directions, you'll be free to go, and you have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson. Make sure you get your right thumbprint on that blue light. Thank you. And then your thumb. You're good. This is just a copy for your record.
Okay, thank you. Court is in session and calls number 330700, case of style of state of Texas versus Urban Kyle West. We have Mr. West appearing before the court. Mr. West, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Mr. West?
Pretty good. How about yourself, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. West, you're here represented by your attorney, Mr. Hargay Amador. Mr. Amador, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Your Honor. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Mr. Amador, what is your announcement in Mr. West's case?
Your Honor, we're here because Mr. West has accepted and has been accepted to enroll in the pretrial program. So we have to go upstairs and sign the paperwork and stuff. Today's his appointment to do that.
Oh,
So, but he's still in the court docket for some reason, so.
That's because he hadn't signed the paperwork.
Correct. So he's gonna do it today. As soon as we
Well.
leave here, we're gonna go up there.
And we'll give you a reset.
And yeah, and Your Honor, give me everything.
okay.
to make sure we're here.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead on and give us a reset date?
Can, Okay.
He wants to get with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can just have a seat.
And same thing here for
Uh-uh.
Mr. Brown.
Oh, is this the one she just sent?
No, this is a different case. He got 3 clients.
Okay, what client do you want to reset?
That-
It's gonna be 2 of them, so we can put them. for
The
same
first, his name is Mr. Urban
video.
West.
Urban West, correct.
And the next guy, Mr. Caden Brown, would you
Kaden
please
Brown,
come
correct.
forward?
He's also present right here in court.
And you want those on the same day? I'll wait
Yes.
till you get through with the judge and then we'll talk.
Beautiful.
Okay, this is cause number 331056, case of style of state of Texas versus Caden Michael Brown. Mr. Brown, is that your full name?
Yes.
Okay, now, Mr. Brown, you're also represented by Attorney Hargay Amador. Hey, Mr. Brown, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get my blood pressure medications.
Oh,
That's why I was,
okay, we hope
Yeah.
to get it regulated.
because it's from treatment. I went to rehab for alcoholism, and this is kind of the point when at 5 months over almost, it starts going down where I can taper off the blood pressure medication.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, we hope that, you continue on your road to recovery. I tell people this all the time, the road to recovery is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And basically, the difference between a sprint and marathon, a short race as opposed to a long race. And so this race is pretty long, but you're gonna get tired along the way. However, if you get tired along the way, there are people that you can lean on.
Yes, sir.
People that's family members, friends, as well as the pill folks that are helping you to get through your recovery.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, Mr. Amador, what's the announcement on Mr. Brown?
Your Honor, today, we are gonna request for a continuance. This is a pretty new case for a firm, and I'm here actually to pick up discovery as well.
Okay.
So if I can, I'm probably gonna try to put them both at
On the same date, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you can get with the coordinator, get your court dates. And once you get your recess from your attorney, you'll be free to go. You have a blessed day, Mr. Brown. Mr. Urban West, you have a blessed day as well. And Mr. Amador, you can get signed for your recess.
Thank you.
And then we'll get with your next case. We'll
Yeah,
get to your
thank
next
you,
case.
sir. Have you used one?
Yes. And Mr. Macy?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Nguyen, is he here? This is cause number 331144. Mr. Five Nguyen, would you please come forward? How you doing, Mr.
I'm good.
Nguyen? I'm doing fine, thanks for asking. Now, I think Mr. Nguyen was here before and he wanted because he is not a US citizen, he wanted the council to be notified. Do we know, have we had any information whether or not they were notified?
Yeah, the consulate has not yet been notified.
Okay, so we just need a reset.
Yes, Judge, but I'd like to put it on the plea docket, a plea docket, so that next time we can.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna reset this, it's gonna be a little longer than our normal reset to give opportunity for the consulate to be notified. Okay. I'm gonna reset it 60 days.
And Your Honor, for the record, it is the state's understanding that we are to notify the Filipino consulate. Make sure
He's,
that's correct.
he's,
Yeah, no, that's where I was born. I'm Vietnamese, but I'm born in the Philippines. I was born in a refugee camp. Like before we had to come to the US, we had to go to the Philippines first. Like that's where they're shipping people out.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's really not sure.
Yeah, 'cause
They'll, I guess, once you contact one of them, they'll let you know.
Yeah, I was only 3 months old when I came here, so I don't know. Yeah. I'm not-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but they'll direct them to the right consulate.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna reset this about 60 days. That should give them enough time to do that.
Can I ask you a question? Like, I just want to know, like, when I take the time and then, if the consulate is notified, am I gonna get like another reset on the case?
Just, you can talk to your attorney. You're gonna be talking to them.
Okay.
They'll let you know. They'll give you all the information you need.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so let's just have a seat. Your attorney's gonna get you reset. We're gonna reset in 60 days. Yeah, this is 5 when we're gonna reset in 60 days. You can have a seat. Your attorney gonna get you reset. Once you get your reset, you'll be free to go and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, and you'll be free to go as well, Mr. Mason. It's 5 when, he's the first person on page 4. We're gonna reset in about 60 days.